Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. This is Business Express. It's Zibby here, and I have a guest joining me this morning. But I'll let you know how you can be a part of the conversation. Would absolutely love for you to send us your thoughts. You can do that via WhatsApp. The number is 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at Smooth981. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel, so you can catch that live stream. It's Smooth981. That's the channel on YouTube, and you can even post a comment on there as well. Now, this morning, we're talking about the proposed Act amendments, which groups are warning could possibly weaken CBN's autonomy. We're talking about the Nigerian Senate's controversial CBN Amendment Act bill. And I guess this one is Oladele. Oler is the founder, the Money Wit Club. Good morning, Oler, and welcome to Business Express once again.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I'm going to start by asking this though. How important is the independence of a central bank to a nation's economy?
So the central bank is, I'll start with what the role of the central bank is. The central bank is the institution that controls the banks and financial institutions that are the bedrock of growth for the economy, right? And they are the bank to the banks and to the government. Now, when we are talking about independence, it's almost supposed to be a given because if you are a bank to people, you should stand alone, right? So, putting them under any other institution, taking out that autonomy almost takes away the essence of what they're supposed to do, meaning that it's just like having a bank that is under your control. You can simply instruct in any direction. So they're supposed to stand alone. It's almost a given.
Mm. All right. Now, this bill that has been proposed now, if it's passed and signed into law, would basically establish a coordinating committee for monetary and fiscal policies, and that would be chaired by the Minister of Finance. Now, the committee will strip the CBN of its power to even determine interest rates. What are your thoughts on this?
So I agree that there should be a coordinating committee, right? I actually agree that there should be some kind of coordination because one of the things that we find right now is there is a disconnect between the fiscal and the monetary, such that the fiscal is going in one direction and monetary is going in another. For example, the central bank will take up interest rates, right? MPR, but then the fiscal is keeping their own borrowing rates capped at a certain level. So they are sending different tones, right? So I agree that there should be some coordination. However, I do not agree that it should be one minister coordinating both. Here's why. There is a different type of skill and experience to being on the physical side than there needs to be on the central bank side, such that you would probably need someone who's more economics inclined to be the central bank governor because interest rates are economic tools. While on the fiscal side, people that have experience around ease of doing business, fiscal taxes, that there's a different type of skill. So if we are trying to, so you can't, it's almost like saying you want to get a civil engineer to be making mechanical engineering, electrical engineering decisions. There's a reason why you would get someone to have that specific role. So I'm not sure how this will pan out.
All right. We're speaking with Oladele, and we're talking about the CBN Amendment Act bill. So if you've got a question, you've got comments, this is the time to let us know. Share it with us. WhatsApp 0809 4440981. And don't forget, we're streaming live on our YouTube channel, so you can catch this live stream. Ola, I want to get your thoughts on some other aspects of the bill. Let's look at Section 38. And this has to do with the ways and means advancement for the government. What are your thoughts?
So the Ways and Means has been grossly abused in recent times. There used to be a 5% of your previous revenue cap. Ways and Means is basically that the central bank can lend to the government. Remember, I started with the central bank is banks, and banks to the government. So if the government is broke for whatever reason and cannot borrow all they need from their regular bond issuance and stuff, they would go to the central bank and borrow, but there was a cap, 5%. What they're proposing right now is that it's going to be 10%, meaning double the amount, and 10% of the last 3 years' revenue, meaning that they are sort of tripling. It's almost like times six of what was being done before if you keep revenues flat, for example. So I see where they're coming from, because it's almost one of those things where, okay, we have come to recognize that the government will borrow and take up that ways and means. And so let's give room, but let's also cap that room, right? Um, I don't agree with it. I would prefer that it was a temporary thing, as against institutionalizing it at that level, because it should be discouraged, right? The government should work within their books, have a proper budget, and stick with it, right? One of the reasons why it touch means that ways and means is either poor planning, poor revenue, or just bad behavior, right? So I would not. It's almost like you are tripling, more than tripling, or maybe like a 4 or 5x the
Mm.
initial approval that was there. So it's almost like giving more room for bad behavior. But then they are saying you must pay it back in 1 year. Now, that is the thing. If you look historically, we have not been able to pay back. So, from a balance sheet management perspective, yes, you put that rule that you must pay back in a year, but is it really practicable? If you can borrow times six of what you were borrowing last year, how are you going to pay back when you've not been able to pay back the ones that were there before?
Okay, now the bill from the Senate is mandating a 21-year prison sentence if Section 38 of the Act is breached. I mean, some might say it's a bit harsh, but others are saying, well, it has to be if it's going to sort of end the abuse of the ways and means. What do you think of this?
It's one of those things that I'm not even sure how to interpret, right? Because why don't you, so if I was going to send anybody to jail, I would send maybe Auditor General or not, so CBN, there's a CBN and there's the government, there's the Ministry of Finance. That's the
Mhm.
ways and means connection. But whoever is, the question is, who is going to go? Is it the person that's like, do you understand? It's a
Mhm.
very, and then 21 years. I mean, I don't support that length of time. I sort of feel like we should be more about strengthening controls. I guess that's really it. We should be more about strengthening controls, as against giving people room to go to the courts to escape things, if you get what I mean. There should be controls so these things shouldn't happen. So they should be putting proper, stronger controls in place, checks and balances, saying that before you can get to this level, you must do this, you must do that, and make it really hard, right, to make it happen. But if you leave it as a phone call between the Ministry of Finance and the central bank, um, I don't know.
So you answered the question I was going to ask next because I was going to say, so who actually should be going to jail?
Honestly, that's the funny part. Is it the director? Is it because I mean, after the central bank and the ministry, or after the CBN, the
Right.
Ministry of Finance, Minister of Finance agree, is the director that signs, right? To a very large
Wow.
extent. I mean, or who? It's one of those very, it sounds good, but it just doesn't have much meaning, right? It really doesn't have
Mm.
much meaning in actual impact. So it's better for us to go for controls, stronger controls, and like make it very, we know how to do things now. When we want to make things tough for people to get to a certain destination, we know what to do.
I'm just curious though, how much has all this got to do with the former CBN governor? I mean, his tenure has had a very interesting time, or had a very interesting time. Do you think a lot of this might have to do with what he's currently going through?
Yes and no, but from it would be bad, it would be wrong to say that it is, because it's a massive institution, and what really happened is a breakdown of course, right? So you can't, the moment we start responding based on individuals, we have brought the whole institution and the whole economy down to individuals. So I would be wary of that being the case. However, when you see a breach, when you see almost like an event occurs, then you set up
Mm.
mitigants. But I dare say that there were mitigants in place right? What is being done to strengthen those mitigants to avoid it in the future, as against trying to look for who to go to jail, because that is the trend. I mean, if you consider the central bank governor, the ex-central bank governor and his drama at the courts, then it's almost like they are using that as a playbook. But that is not a really great playbook. It's not good for confidence in the economy.
All right, we're speaking with Ola Oladele, CFA. She's the founder of the Money Week Club, and we're talking about the Senate's controversial CBN Amendment Act bill. Let us know your thoughts. 0809 4440981. That's the WhatsApp number. You can tweet at Smooth981, and the hashtag is Business Express 981, or just post a comment in the live stream up on our YouTube page. It is Smooth981. Now, the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions has fixed a public hearing on the amendment bill for Thursday in Abuja. How important is it for citizens to actually be a part of this hearing?
Very, 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 very. I find that it's one of those things where everybody is chasing the bag, trying to not go to bed hungry, and decisions are being made that are probably going to impact you later in life. And I dare say that in other societies, they have people called lobbyists who are paid to be sitting down at the National Assembly and tracking every single bill as it's coming out and influencing it.
Mm.
And I dare say that we're probably at that point where we need to be keeping a stronger eye on what decisions are being made. And I guess the benefit of media and I mean coming out with this news, because nobody would know that these things are being decided upon, right? But people need to get more involved in the lawmaking, because it has far-reaching impacts on everybody.
Absolutely. Ola, can you see a scenario where possibly the part of the bill that strips the CBN of the monetary policy independence is removed and, the rest of the bill just moves forward?
Um, yes, well, the truth about it is that when a bill is put forward, right, it's the idea is for people to critique and let's add and subtract. It's normal, right? And so I would hope, because I mean, us having this conversation here has no impact on the decision making on that bill, right? So I would hope that there's somebody somewhere in Abuja that is going to say, no, let's take this one out, because the idea shouldn't even have been there in the first place if you understand economics and even optics, global optics, how you would look as a nation outside of your country, right? So I hope there's somebody, because our conversation is going to have impact. Nigeria, we know how to talk a lot, but our
We
conversations
hope
have no
it's more
impact.
than talking this morning, Ola.
But I hope that somebody is listening that can impact, right? And I think that's the idea. But it's very, very possible that it would happen that some parts of the bill will be taken out before it is passed. Definitely.
Mm. All right. Well, that is all the time that we have for Business Express this morning. Thanks for listening. And special thanks to you, Ola, for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And that was Ola Oladele, CFA, founder the Money Wit Club. Do stay with us. There is a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.